dictator! Help! We need to go! Run! Run away! Watch out! Keep moving! Push up!
Iran and America, two nations whose conflict is not just about bullets and bombs, but about wounds buried deep in decades of history. And just when the world thought this tension would remain limited to threats and warnings, suddenly, everything changed. On one side stood America, the world's most powerful military force. On the other side stood Iran, a nation willing to challenge a global superpower openly. But the biggest truth about this conflict is this: when these two collide, it is never just two countries that burn. The entire Middle East begins to shake. The story begins with Iran's nuclear program. America feared that if Iran developed nuclear weapons, the balance of power in the Middle East would collapse. Iran, however, insisted that it was only developing technology for its own security and progress. But in politics, fear itself becomes the most dangerous weapon. Slowly, sanctions increased. Oil trade was restricted. Attempts were made to weaken Iran's economy. And when Iran accelerated its missile program in response, tension turned into fire. And the flames of that fire reached the places where ordinary people lived, where children played, where families dreamed of a peaceful future. In this war, the greatest losses were not suffered by armies, but by civilians. Explosions struck several Iranian cities. Hospitals filled with injured people. Thousands of homes were reduced to rubble. Reports claim that thousands lost their lives in Iran, many of them ordinary citizens. Some estimates spoke of more than 3,000 deaths, while others suggested the numbers were even higher. But the conflict did not remain inside Iran. Iran responded, and its response spread fear across the region. Drone attacks, missile strikes, threats to oil tankers, rising tension across the seas. American military bases, especially in Iraq and Gulf nations, moved to high alert. Some attacks reached those areas too, and people in Iraq also died. Because once war begins, it no longer respects borders. Lebanon became another country caught in the flames. Groups linked to Iran were already active there. And as the conflict intensified, violence spread across Lebanese cities. Thousands were displaced from their homes. Israel, too, could not escape the fire of this confrontation. Because the hostility between Iran and Israel has long been considered one of the most dangerous rivalries in the world. Missiles were launched. Sirens echoed through cities. Families rushed into bunkers for safety. Within days, this was no longer just America versus Iran. It had become a regional war. The list of affected countries kept growing. Iran, America, Israel, Iraq, Lebanon, along with Gulf nations like the UAE, Kuwait, Bahrain, and Saudi Arabia. Because when missiles fly, fear crosses every border. But the biggest question is, who suffered the most? The answer is simple. Soldiers die in war, but ordinary people lose their entire lives. Thousands were injured. Millions were forced to leave their homes. Children lost access to education. Hospitals began running out of medicine. Oil prices surged. Fear of global inflation spread worldwide. Because the Middle East is not only a battlefield, it is the heart of the world's energy supply. And when the heart is wounded, the entire world feels the pain. America also faced losses. Reports suggested casualties among American troops, and military spending rose by billions of dollars. But once again, the greatest price was paid by civilians. Many people who had nothing to do with the conflict lost their lives. Foreign citizens became trapped in war zones. Several countries launched rescue missions to evacuate their people. And perhaps the most terrifying part was this. Every passing day made the world fear that this conflict could move toward a third world war. Because when nations like America and Iran confront each other directly, it is never just two flags fighting. Their allies and enemies begin entering the battlefield too. And once again, the world was reminded of a painful truth. War never truly brings victory. War only destroys. On one side, ruined
run
cities.
away!
On
Watch
the
out!
other, endless counts of the dead. And across the world, fear. Fear of where the next missile